Hi, welcome back to Cbse Board Economics. I'm Saddam Hussain. Today we are going to discuss a new unit called Income and Employment Theory, or we call it as Keynesian economics of macroeconomics. In this unit, the first topic we'll be discussing about is aggregate demand. What exactly is aggregate demand? How is it different from the demand which you studied in class 11? In class 11, in microeconomics, you studied the demand of a consumer or a household. What exactly is that? The demand of a household is the number of units the household is willing to buy at a given price at a given point of time. That was from one consumer's point of view, one household's point of view. It's the willingness of a consumer to buy a commodity at a given point of time at a given price. That was the demand. Now in macroeconomics, the aggregate demand is different. What exactly is aggregate demand? It's the demand in the whole economy, in the entire economy, the demand of all consumers, producers, the government, and including the demand for goods which we import from other countries. So now we go into detail. What exactly, how do you define aggregate demand? Aggregate demand is the total demand for goods and services in an economy in an accounting year. It's a planned demand or expected demand in an economy in an accounting year. The demand for all kinds of goods. It can be consumer goods, it can be investment goods. Obviously, when you demand goods, we have to spend, that's some expenditure is incurred. So we can define aggregate demand from the expenditure's point of view. How do you define aggregate demand? It's the total expenditures, or you can write it as planned expenditures in an economy in an accounting year. So to put it in simple words, aggregate demand is total planned demand for goods and services in an economy in an accounting year, or it's the total planned expenditures in an economy in an accounting year. A total demand for goods and services in an economy in an accounting year, or the total planned expenditures in an economy in an accounting year. As I told you, in the economy, we demand goods either for consumption or for production, investment. Hence, we can classify all the components of aggregate demand. This aggregate demand, we write it as AD. What are the components of aggregate demand? It has four important components. Remember, so we write it as AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. C stands for consumption expenditure, I stands for investment expenditure, G stands for government expenditure, X minus M stands for net exports, exports minus imports. Let's discuss these in detail. The first one is household or private consumption expenditure. What exactly is private consumption expenditure? This is done by all households or consumers on buying all kinds of consumer goods. This can be durable goods, this can be durable goods like refrigerators, car, washing machines, micro ovens, your laptop, your computer, your mobile phone. So this is consumer goods, durable use. Semi-durable goods, households buy clothes, and non-durable goods, it can be vegetables, it can be fruits, it can be milk, and services of doctors, teachers, lawyers. This is the private consumption expenditure. We write it as C. The next expenditure in the economy, investment expenditure, I. This is done mostly by the firms. When they buy machines, building structures, investment expenditure. I stands for investment expenditure. And then I told you this is a three-sector economy. Government is also there. Government constructs roads, street lighting, parks, defense. So they have to spend money on these. That's a consumption expenditure. C plus I plus G plus. And we all know that we import goods from other countries. So some expenditure is incurred on that. And we export goods to other countries. So we receive money from other countries. So we take the difference between these two, that we call it as net exports. Net exports is exports minus imports. So we conclude the components of aggregate demand as C plus I plus G plus X minus M. So we wrote it here, AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Later on, when we go to other chapters, like determination of income and employment, we write AD as C plus I. So G and X minus M are missing here. So why do we write it as AD is equal to C plus I? Because in your syllabus, we are studying only two sectors, households and firms. So two-sector economy we are discussing, that is households and firms. That's why we are taking into consideration only consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. That is aggregate demand. I repeat once again what exactly is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand, we write it in abbreviated form as AD. You remember AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. AD stands for aggregate demand, C stands for consumption expenditure, I stands for investment expenditure, G stands for government and expenditure, and net exports is X minus M. So we'll write two lines about it. The first one is consumption expenditure. This is done by the households on all kinds of durable goods, semi-durable, non-durable goods and services. And I stands for investment expenditure. This is done by the firms on all kinds of investments. It can be machines, buildings, structures. G stands for government demand. Government demand, this is the government expenditure in construction of roads, street lighting, parks, defense, law and order. This is the government. And the last one is net exports. Net exports is the difference between X minus M. Later on, we'll be writing AD as C plus I, because we are considering only two sectors in the economy, households and the firms. To put it in brief, what you are supposed to write, aggregate demand AD is the planned demand for goods and services in an economy in an accounting year, or the planned expenditures in an economy in an accounting year. It has four components, C plus I plus G plus X minus M. C stands for consumption expenditure. This is done by the households on all kinds of consumer goods, durable, non-durable, semi-durable and services. And I stands for investment expenditure. This is done by the firms on all kinds of machines, buildings, structures, investment. G stands for government expenditure. This is done by the government in construction of roads, street lighting, parks, defense. X minus M, difference between exports and imports. So AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. But later on we write AD as C plus I because of two-sector economy, households and firms. That's all we have time for today. Till we meet next time. Goodbye from Saddam Hussein. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like and comment. And don't forget to watch the next video that is about aggregate supply. Bye-bye.